Hi guys, hope you're having a wonderful day. Undoubtedly children will be feeling the effects of the changes to our lives and our lifestyles. And with everything that's going on in the world, it's very easy at the moment to feel overwhelmed by all the information that we're hearing about the coronavirus. And children are hearing about all this information from the media, at school, in the playground, and of course in the conversations that we're having in and around the home. And these things could obviously lead them to being worried about someone that they love getting sick. And their little hearts and minds are sensitive and attuned to the change in our tone of voice and the tone that they're sort of hearing from the media, all of which brings levels of uncertainty in the community and our lives overall. And it's understandable if your children are really starting to feel anxious as well. So I've got a question for you. Have you actually spoken to your children about the coronavirus yet? And are you wondering how to approach them on this topic? And if your answer is yes, well, you're definitely in the right place. And today we are really thrilled to be joined with Kari Sutton, who will be sharing suggestions and providing us with practical strategies to empower your children with knowledge during this global time of uncertainty. Now, a little bit of an introduction for Kari. She's an expert in fostering children's positive mental health, and we definitely need that at the moment. I know she's helped over 25,000 children, parents and educators with evidence-based strategies, tools and approaches, as well as common sense tips to help kids to stop worrying so much and to help manage their anxiety, and which is once again really perfect for where we are in our lives right now. Now, Kari's expertise has made her an in-demand conference speaker, author and consultant in wanting to foster children's positive mental health. And she's also just launched or about to launch her second book, Raising a Mentally Fit Generation, that's going to be launched in May 2020. Kari, how are you?
Hey Rachel, I'm well. How are you?
Look, very honoured to be able to speak with you
Thank you.
today. Very honoured to have you as a partner of ours at Kittypedia. Lots to talk about on this topic. But to begin
A lot
with,
to talk about.
Yeah. To begin with, we published your article, and the title is How to Talk to Your Children About Coronavirus. Now, for somebody who hasn't read the article, could you give us a little bit of an overview, what it's about, and just generally what inspired you to write it?
I wrote it because I've had a lot of families asking me, what do we say? How do we talk about this? It's going on. And I guess what I wanted people to understand was that kids will have heard about it from a variety of sources. So as the adults in their lives, we need to step up and really take this opportunity to lead in a calm way and to talk to them about it. That don't let it be the elephant in the room, because when it is the elephant in the room, what will happen is that the kids will fill in their own, they'll fill in the answers themselves. So we need to give them honest, factual, age-appropriate information that they can handle. And the parents are watching this, they know their child. They know their child. And so what you know is, what can my child handle? What can we talk about? And also have a conversation with them. So it's not just about knowing and starting a conversation. It's actually going, hey, have you heard about coronavirus? Have you heard that word? And saying, and giving them the facts, because children, as I said before, they might fill in the blanks if they don't have the facts. So that's why I wanted to write this article for parents and say, don't avoid the topic. We need to be calm and reassuring. And just here's a few steps to answer and how we can go about doing that.
That's brilliant. There's a lot of kids at home at the moment actually not understanding why they're home. And just this morning, I had my 9-year-old niece call me through iCloud and hi Mirage, and I was saying to her, well, as a question, and I was at the time, weirdly enough, preparing for this interview today, and I was just like, so, how are you feeling about everything at the moment? And in her own way, she just looked at me, shrugged her shoulders, and she's like, it's weird. And she said, the world is a really unclean, dirty, unhygienic place. exactly what you've just said. So each child is going to have their own interpretation of what's happening, and what information they've heard and how they've digested that information. Is that what you're saying? So they're going to make their own.
Absolutely. Is that they've heard it from the media, they've heard it in the playground, and it could be things. I've had a family say, I was listening, overhearing my children talk to their friends, and they're saying, oh yeah, Jojo's mum's got it. What happens if she dies? Like, this is the worst virus in the world and she's going to get really sick. And so they're wondering in their minds, and like your niece, is the world a really germy place? Well, what we know is that, and that's when I wanted to talk to families about particularly, we know that 81%, so the World Health Organization says 81%, and it's really important having facts with kids, most people will get this and they will get over it. So it's talking to them about that. What we need to be really conscious of with our kids, though, is saying, that's what happened. But the reason we talk about germs is that the droplets, whether it come from our sneezes or our coughs or touching our face or our eyes, that can spread the germ. So that's why we're washing our hands a lot. It's not that the world is a germy place. It's just that it can pass. And we know that it passes through droplets. So we have to be really aware. Cough into our elbow. If we use a tissue, we use it, we throw it away, then we wash our hands. So it's telling them about that and talking to kids and letting them understand, but first of all, listen. So that's one of our main jobs, which is what you did with your niece. You listened, because then you could see, where is she at? What does she know? What are they thinking? Because it's their voices that we need to hear. So for really little children, they may not have heard about it, and that's okay. If they ask questions, that's when we need to know.
Yes.
And that's when we.
Now, as you say in the article, as parents, we are the leaders for our children, and what we model and the tone we set is what they're going to absorb and internalize. And as you say in the article, it's our role to demonstrate what actions we're actually sort of doing to keep them safe.
Yeah.
Sorry. And also just communicating to them how they can actually make a positive difference in the world through their actions, through their words, and those types of things as well. So the article undoubtedly is definitely worth a read. We've got 3 key questions that we want to be able to get through, so let's get stuck into them straight away. So question number 1 we've got for you: what should parents be telling their kids about the coronavirus?
So I guess one of the really important thing is be honest. We don't want to be alarmist, but we do want to be honest. As I said before, use those facts and figures. We want them to know it's not coming. Children aren't as affected. So we can't say they're not going to get it, because some children have got it. But we want to be honest, but age-appropriate honesty. So the age of your children with them and talk about them. So with 8, 9, 10-year-olds, you can talk about them and say, hey, have you heard about coronavirus? Like, what have you heard? What do you think? How is it sitting with you? Or whatever language they want to use with their children, and just really say, what have you heard? Because then how that they're possibly filling in the blanks, what they're thinking, and what does that look like. So you can so be honest, but empower them. That's one of the things. With the little kids, you can just tell them it's a virus. It does make people sick. Most people get over it. But the older people, that's why we have to make sure we're not going to go see grandma and grandpa. We're not going to go, or we are practicing social distancing. So what does that mean? It means 2 arms length, or whatever it is. We talk about those sorts of things. So we say to them, that's why we can't go and do those things. That's why things are closing down. If we used to go to the gym or things like that, that's why the government is making a decision to keep the people safe. And that's what I'm doing with you. You know how we talk about washing our hands and lots of different things. That's why we have to do it, because we're keeping ourselves and our families and the people we care about safe. So it really is stepping up and being that leader in a calm and reassuring way. So if you're feeling a little anxious, don't talk to your children when you're feeling anxious. Deal with that first and then have that discussion, because children are little emotional sponges. They'll pick up whatever we're putting out. So we have to be really conscious about being centered and grounded and knowing that we're okay with this, and we are the calm leaders in our family, just like we were in the bushfires, just like we were when 9/11 happened and other things happened. We're those calm leaders. We're the grown-up in the house, and we've got this.
Yes. So what I'm hearing, and tell me if I've got this right, is giving children the respect that they deserve by giving them the facts and giving them information and also the context as to why these things are happening, for them to be able to base their reasoning. And as we were saying earlier on in the chat, that they're going to make their own mind up as to the way that they see everything, but giving them as much information to respect context and key information. Would that be it, would you say? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that give them the information they need. And older kids might need more detailed information. And don't be scared of saying, I don't know. Let's find that out together.
Yep.
So you can do some research, because there have been places where schools are finished and things like that. You'll have time with your kids. If they want to know about it, help them find that research out, but make sure it's evidence-based and that it's from the right people, that it's not sensational.
Yep. Well, this leads perfectly on to our next question. Now, what are the key things that we can do to help our kids navigate this crisis? And I'd love to know, are you going to go through stuff that's in the articles? You've got some great stuff in there.
Yeah, that, and you're exactly right, Rach. One of the key things, and please, parents, switch off the media diet. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but I've had calls from families. They have said, we're not watching television, but it's the radio that's on in the background. It's the radio that's on in the car. And their children have said, Mum, I'm worried. Like, everybody's talking about it. Are we going to get it? What's happening? And there's been so much panic, so much overwhelm. We need to make sure we're taking control of that conversation, and that we're not allowing all of this hype, all of the media to come into our children's lives, and particularly social media. And as I was saying, and I'm not saying social media is bad. It's not. It's just that at the moment it's alarmist and it's up here. We want to bring it down. We want to make sure our children have the right knowledge, have factual knowledge, not something they're finding off and saying, oh, this is the way it's got to be. It's got to be the factual knowledge, evidence-based. And again, don't avoid the elephant in the room. Coronavirus is here. That's why they're home. That's why they're not going to school, or that's what the conversation is about when they go out to school. So don't avoid it, but also, what I mean by don't avoid it is talk about it, but then don't go on about it. Don't take a long time. You know what? Take as much time as they need, and then go, you know what? There's other things. Let's read. Let's look at doing some art and craft, or whatever it is, we can do that. So be calm and reassuring, control their media diet, honest and age appropriate. But one of the key factors, look for the helpers. Look for the acts of kindness, because kids will have found out, and I've had families who've said to me, we've gone into the supermarket, our kids have seen the shelves all bare, and they're worried that they're not going to have enough food. So as Scott Morrison said, please stop it. We don't need to panic buy. We all have enough. Our children need to understand that we can do kind things for other people. There are lots of helpers. The front line, our doctors, our nurses are working so hard. We need to look for the good things that are happening. And I'm not being Pollyanna-ish or saying that nothing bad happens, but what I am saying is, for our kids' mental health and social and emotional well-being, we need to look and find the positives.
And you mentioned also in the article too that the most important thing of all ages need to know is that we're going to take care of them, and that lots of grown-ups are working together to figure out ways to help people and make sure that we all get through it. So it's not just, there's everything that you mentioned in the article. Don't disregard the subject. Make sure that you are speaking to the children and giving them age appropriate information, but at the same time just giving them just that self-assurance of that basically that as a parent we are going to I'm going to look after you. We've
got this, and that's why empowering them, and that's one of the things. Whether we really need to empower them, I guess the most critical thing for me is knowing that we are the calm adult. We've got them, we're holding them safe in our families, we're holding them safe in our community, because our community is working together. Where our doctors, our nurses, our politicians, everybody wants us to be safe. So the adults are in control, and that's part of the reason why I talk about turning the media off, because often the media will sensationalize things and pick up the stories about people having fights over toilet paper or all the supplies going out of the stores. We don't need our children to hear the panic. We just know we've got this as adults. Yes, we've gone out and bought some extra food, but that's okay, because we might have those things. We have enough in the cupboards. This is what we're doing. We're teaching them how to take care of themselves, and we're empowering them. Yes. Because giving them that knowledge about coughing into an elbow or those sorts of things, what it does is help them reduce anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Question number 3, can you give us 3 things that we can do to help reduce our children's anxiety?
Yeah, the 3 things, when our children, if we were looking, so the first one would be that when we talk to our kids about coronavirus, when we're finishing the conversation or when we are having that conversation, be really mindful. As adults, our human brains do this. So all human brains do this, whether it be adults or kids. We go one of 2 ways. One can be into panic mode. And the other one can be into empowerment and hopefulness. And that's why when we talk about these, or when we have these conversations and talk with our kids, we need to make sure we end on a positive note and say to them, with coronavirus, that's why I'm going to cough into my elbow, or that's why I'm going to always wash my hands before we eat, after we go to the bathroom, after we've been outside to play. All of those things, if we blind our nose with a tissue, throw it away and wash our hands. So it's really giving them empowerment, and again, that's why when we talk about having the conversations with the kids, why we need to talk to our kids and address the elephant in the room is because if we allow them to fill in the blanks, their mind will go possibly to panic. And when it goes to panic, that increases the anxiety, the amygdala takes over, and it's the fear part of the brain, and it goes, what's going to happen? I don't know. Mum seems worried. I know there are people who are possibly watching this who may lose their jobs, because there are lots of different things happening. And I'm not saying that that's not going to impact your family. It is, and your children will realize that. So again, have the age-appropriate conversations, but please be calm in yourself when you do, because when children see us panicked as adults, and particularly their significant adult in their life, when children see that, their stress levels rise, their anxiety rise, their worries rise. You will then see different behaviours, possibly challenging or some disruptive behaviour, because they know that something's going on and that you're not in control. So again, ways to reduce anxiety, very much for us to be the calming, reassuring adults. When we finish conversations, leave them with empowerment, give them things to do, whether it be coughing into that, blowing into their nose, washing their hands, make sure they know, whether it be singing happy birthday twice, whatever it is, give them things to do. Don't touch their face. And I know how hard it is. We saw, I think it was a lady overseas, she was the health minister, and she's telling people not to touch their face, yet she was licking their finger. So it's really hard for us, because we often touch our face, but we say to kids, these are germ catching. We're catching germs and doing different things. Make it fun, so we empower them. And again, one of the most important ones is turn off the media, and get off the media, social media too. There's a lot of negative stuff happening. Find the good stuff, look for the good and emphasize that, and just be really calm and know that, this might be making us slow down, spend more time together, and become more attuned to what our kids need.
Yep. So to summarize everything that you've sort of mentioned today is not to avoid the topic by any means. And the conversation that you have are great opportunities to communicate correct factual information and to set the emotional tone that you actually want for your children. So that's really, really powerful. You've mentioned to be calm and to be reassuring, which you've mentioned many times throughout the chat today, and to be honest but age appropriate also. And the most important thing of all ages need to know that you're going to, as their leader, as their parent, are going to take care of them. And as we said earlier on, lots of grown-ups are working together to figure out ways to make sure we all get through it. to limit the news exposure. I love the phrase to reduce your media diet. I love that phrase, and I think that just speaks volumes. But to limit the news exposure, and not to be ignorant or to switch off all media. We do need to be kept up to date, but just know it is just a daily catch up at whatever time it is. Most likely when the kids have gone to bed. So the ABC News every night at 11 o'clock, 11 p.m. has got an update. Wherever you feel comfortable, that as much as possible away from the little ears, and so you can once again control, just and set the tone and just give them that factual information that you want the kids to have, to give the children a sense of control and power. As you've mentioned, all of the things that we know to cough into your elbow, how to wash their hands, all that information's in your article. To look for the little helpers as well, to highlight the work, all the good stuff that's happening, the work the scientists are doing, and all the kind-hearted people that are helping other people out there. You mentioned all this stuff in your article. It's beautiful. And to model resilience also, and to have the conversations in an optimistic way that encourage the kids to be able to help in their own way find a solution.
Absolutely. Because that's it, Rach. We can all do things to help stop the spread. Washing our hands, social distancing, whatever it is, we can all work together as a society, as a family. So us together as families, we can work together. As a society, we're working together. As a world, we're working together. So people are working on this, and it's just giving our kids that confidence. When we model the confidence and resilience to know we've got this, we will get through it together. And you know what? We are all doing our part. So when we're not seeing grandma and grandpa, I know that's a bit sad. We can Skype them or we can FaceTime them or whatever it is, but that's doing our part. And if we all do our part, everyone will get through this together.
Yeah. I mean, there's some really insightful, empowering information that you've shared with us today. Is there anything else that you want to sign off with, outside of what we've already discussed, that could help parents and families?
Just my belief. I know parents have got this. I know it's tricky. I know it's hard at the moment, and particularly if we've got kids at home and you're trying to work and do all of those sorts of things. But I know we've got this. I know we can get through it together. It is scary at times when you're watching all this media and there's uncertainty, but be those calm, steady adults in your kids' lives, and that's what will help us get through.
Yeah, Kari, I'm so honoured for your time today. I can't wait to chat with you again soon. And if parents have got any other questions for you, whereabouts can they find you?
By all means, carriesutton.com, that's my website, and you can email me directly through there and we can get the conversation started. So very happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, and looking forward to chatting with you again really, really soon. Take care and stay safe.
Thanks, Rach. Bye.
Bye.